Hello, Taurus. Welcome to your reading. All right, so getting into the pre shuffle. So I immediately got the sensation of a meta awareness. So a meta, like outside, very wide perspective of things. Um, Now, specifically, I kind of just split the deck and I got the Two of Pentacles come out here. So you might be trying to consolidate two ideas. And then I got the word perfection, and I felt a very serious mindset. And actually, when I was typing out perfection, I misspelled it. Um, so that might be a part of kind of what you need to hear is the beauty of this imperfection. So the beauty of the sometimes our inability to be able to see everything all at once. So the attempt with practices such as the tarot is to bring what we need to see into view, not necessarily being required to see every little tiny detail. Sometimes that's a result of being overly analytical and overly serious, right? Is when we kind of almost micromanage to a point where we fail to see the uh, woods for the trees or the trees for the woods. Um, First card being Eight of Pentacles here right away, so this could be related to focus. Two of Wands again, just a focused hyper intention, uh, just obsessed almost with the details, to the point like maybe it's good. It's not necessarily bad, but okay. So perhaps burdened by this level of detail. We'll see. Okay, so ending with the Soldier of Aqua there. All right, so first card already mentioned Eight of Pentacles or Eight of Terra as I call it. So focused intention trying to create something. So this is definitely posed in the direction of something tangible, reliable, consistent, resilient. Uh, so a very very focused mindset. Um, though again, this is like almost to your detriment. Though there's almost I don't want to say you have to relax here. I'm trying to pose this in a proper way. I think you know this though. The position in my layout here is one of awareness. It kind of reflects that awareness back. So I think you know this, but I think it's sometimes easy. It might be easy for you to kind of fall into those details, and get caught in the details. You just tumble with it, and then it becomes so hyper focused to a point, um, that it's hard to loop back around. With an idea, you might follow through with it. It's kind of like, I'm not sure if you've ever done this, but just browsed Wikipedia, opened up an article that you're curious about in it, and that site will link everywhere, and eventually you end up, in Timbuktu, right? Completely different area from where you initially were looking. Um, but I think this this is okay. Like this is kind of a part of learning your craft or whatever you're trying to focus on, right? This is a part of that process, and I think you're grasping that. This might be something you're still, you know, trying to get more perspective from. But this is still valuable experience, even though, yeah, sure, you might have been led astray. Maybe you got distracted by something, and that's okay, right? We're human. We do that, right? That's the point of making mistakes too, is to point us in the correct direction, right? um not everything has to be perfect. either. Like it's very tempting to have everything in its place and in the right order and so forth. And I do the same. I like things in a specific order and mostly clean, right? That's okay. Um, but there's a point where it's maybe too much, and you might be aware of this. Um, so this is my 10 of wands, 10 of Ignis. So obviously it's you're focusing a lot all into one and then trying to move that idea forward with so much weight kind of attached to it, right? Uh, um, I think you're capable, but it might be overkill, right? You might be doing things unnecessarily um, too complex or overly complex and complicating it, which isn't always the best thing. I think the simplicity can kind of speak for itself, and that is kind of a show of skill, right? If you can simplistically convey or display an idea in a way that is palatable to others, right? That's teaching skill. Um, Now, in the way of an experience, it's like a doctor. They can hear the symptoms, and off the top of their head, they can immediately find the information they need to resolve or diagnose an issue, right? And I think you're on your way to that here. So if you're feeling discouraged, that's totally fine. Don't be. I feel like it's easy to get discouraged when maybe we're not moving as fast as we want to, or in the place where we want to be, right? And we start comparing, which I like to always say, or I haven't. Well, thief is the comparison. Comparison is the thief of joy. Sorry, I can't speak right now, but comparison is the thief of joy, right? So being unable to being able to remove yourself from that comparison is kind of the objective purpose, right? Becoming too focused on the objective, where you start including other people and saying, well, why didn't I get that? Or I would be there if this or that. It's really easy to do that, and I've done it myself, but that's not really the value in that, though, right? You are unique. You do have your value that is its own intricate flower, right? Its own intricate art piece, its own intricate, you know, uh, expression that is valuable, and even if other people don't necessarily validate it on the surface, and you have this ideal of perfection kind of nagging at you, right? That can be difficult to consolidate, to look at, and you know question as well, right? You become kind of self-questioning and self-doubting, and then you kind of freeze up. So don't get bogged down in the details. Even if you don't know everything, even if all the facts aren't available to you, that's all right. Even like here, I'm telling you that exact thing with tarot in itself from a meta perspective. Is I'm here to tell you that you don't have to know everything. If you choose to believe what I tell you. And that's what here the high priestess is also illustrating. You can allow yourself to make a decision that isn't necessarily completely backed by rationality, or facts, logic. Um, we do have instincts within us that are supposed to be there, right? Like our animalistic side. If you're aware of your intuition, uh, we do make decisions not based on rationality. and that's normal. That's okay. It doesn't have to necessarily always be that case. Um, and allow yourself to make a decision that isn't backed in that same kind of manner, and see where it takes you, right? Allow it to be what it is. Allow yourself to be in that moment and experience that, right? That's raw, and having and needing to know an outcome and see it perfectly is kind of against the point, right? Even my readings, they aren't predictive. That's not the purpose that I personally choose to follow, right? I don't want to tell you something is going to happen for sure, and maybe that not turn out, and have you live with that false hope. you know Everything is in this moment now for you to accept, and look at, and appreciate, and make a decision on whatever you're thinking about. And if that doesn't work out, that's okay. Um it's not necessarily evil. What I'm like Nothing is necessarily conspiring against you, unless you have facts, right? But it's super easy, and I'm guilty of this. I'll sometimes think and question myself, and then get caught in a loop where I can just get caught up in the details and think about how this or that is supposed to happen, and this next, and how do I achieve this, and I become attached to an outcome, that a process that is supposed to bring me the result, right? But it doesn't always, and that can be frustrating. Um, but that's totally normal, and it might feel like things are out to get you at times when things don't work out, um, in the simplest ways too. Like getting your socks wet, as a silly example. But when I step in water and get my socks wet, I really don't like it. In that moment, I'm like, oh, like really, I have to deal with this now. Um, it's that kind of thing, though, right? It's like it just happens. Um, it's not that simple. Is essentially what it comes down to, um, and that's okay. That's something perfectly fine. Um, and it might not seem like the right thing. Like it might be the most, how should I say, unlikely or unintuitive maybe to you. But that's kind of the beauty in it, right? Is that discovery of how we can express who we are, and discover who we are, and make mistakes, and fix them again, right? And see what we learned, and share that with other people, and grow, and that's important. Those are the experiences we carry, right? It's not how much money we have necessarily, at the end of the day. When you go to sleep, or at least when I personally go to sleep, I'm not always thinking about what I have and being prideful in that. I'm thankful for it, but that's not what brings me peace. Um, what brings me peace is unique to me, and no one can really tell you what that is except for yourself. um, Someone tells you it's a process, and this is guaranteed, definitely listen. But it's, as I think you already know this, but it's not guaranteed, is the thing. There are really no guarantees. Impermanence is truly the real permanence in things, um, which you might not want to hear. um, and it might sound like bad news. you may have expected more from this reading, but that's okay. I'm all right with that. Um, I just want to be honest because I'm getting the sense of skill and intelligence and a lot of energy and diligence, and great things. But it's okay to be disappointed, and it's okay for things to fail. So now this line here, so I drew an advice card. So my specific layout is associated with the I Ching or the I Ching. So if you're not familiar with what that is, that's a Chinese oracle, uh, very ancient oracle that draws lines, and an unbalanced line is one that does not contain both yin and yang energy, masculine, feminine energy. So we have all masculine energies here, the very first line, which is the very foundational line. So this, and then we get the eight of Ignis here, the eight of wands. So I'm really getting, the concept of truth here. What is truth? What is the deciding factor here? And no one can really, even me here, like no one can really tell you what the ultimate truth is. No one can assuredly tell you how things are. There's been, mystics have tried it for millennia, philosophers have tried it for millennia, religions have tried it for millennia, and there is no perfect answer. And that's really what I'm getting here, down the very core of kind of existence, right? That's what pushes us to discover more in science, in every aspect of our lives, is towards being better, but there is no true perfection, and in terms of an ultimate truth. Um, so that's really the advice that I've gotten from this reading, so far. So that concludes the overall reading in general. Now, next I speak about the I Ching a little bit further. So this, again, to just quickly reiterate, this reading is based on the I Ching, specifically a lower trigram. So that's half of what's called a hexagram. So those are casted with lines. So you have the first line, second line, and third line. Three more lines would create a hexagram, hex for 6. You can use the Book of Changes to get further advice. So if you feel that this really speaks with you, then you can cast 3 more lines above to create the upper trigram, and get your overall guidance and message there. There's several interpretations. I won't really direct you towards one. They're all unique in their own similar ways. Perfect, but imperfect ways. So the only changing line is the first line here. So that's yang, yang, and then yin energy here. Yang, yang, yin, which is the trigram of lake. So this is what it looks like. So the very first line is the bottom line again. So that's the only changing line. And that would change to the lower trigram of fire. All right. So if you want to take it further, you can cast 3 more lines above, and that will give you a little bit more information if you so desire. All right. Now the last part, I generate cards based on keywords. So there's 4 keywords that or 4 cards that I use. I'll let you know what 3 of those are. The 4th I won't. So if the initial 3 don't really fit for you, pardon me, you can try out the 4th, and maybe that will give you some guidance. All right. So the first keyword is abrogation. I wasn't really sure what that actually meant, so I looked it up. It means to reject a law. essentially, is to have a law turned down in a simple way. So if you don't know what that means, I didn't share in the wealth. That's what it means. Second keyword is civilization. Third is half. And the fourth is secret. So you can pause, choose a timestamp. Now, I didn't mention this earlier, but these cards I will not interpret. These are meant for you to look at and kind of meditate upon, if you will. All right, so I'll show those now, pause, and make your decision. So here's the first, abrogation. Second card is civilization. Third is half. And then the secret word is utilization. Utilization. All right, Taurus, so that is all I have for you. Thanks for watching. If you liked any of the generated cards, I have a membership linked in the description there, so you can become a member and download those. Otherwise, thanks again for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. I will catch you next time.